Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown. I am your host today, Craig DeLuz. We'll be bringing to you 2A news and conservative views, and I'm coming from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as, well, is quite evident, I don't do this program by myself.
Listen, it might be clear evidence. I might just be sitting here the whole time just nodding. I might be the laugh track. I might be your Ed McMahon. I might be your sidekick. My name is Mike Piwowarski. I am the co-host. I am from the East Coast. That's the co-host with the most, from the coast with the most here on the Rundown. 2A News, conservative views. Greg, happy frickin' Friday.
Happy frickin' Friday. Gotta love Friday. It's it's funny. We work all week, and but the funny part is I enjoy what I do all week, but that doesn't mean that I don't need a respite from it, and that's what the weekend usually gets to be.
Yeah. The weekend is just the start of my other work. That's all.
Yeah. That's when you start the radio thing. By the way, for folks who don't know, and I'm sure most of you know, but tell them a little bit about Arms Room Radio.
It's pretty good stuff.
Okay. Tell them more about Arms Room Radio.
We actually just started our 8th year. We were doing the math. It was contract time. 8th year Arms Room Radio. It's live on Saturdays, 3 to 5 p.m. Just go to armsroomradio.com. You can listen there live or find out where we're on the rest of the country and, enjoy some good radio. It's just it's like this, but on the radio and maybe a little more potty humor.
Oh, yeah. Folks, let me tell you something. The cast of characters on Arms Room Radio is phenomenal. Whether it is Kevin the lawyer, who is a 161-year-old vampire?
He is.
Or whether it's the great grandson of Daniel Boone, Earl Boone, or Major Bill or Mike.
Yep.
It is hilarious.
We have a little fun. We try to be what is it called? Infotainment, right?
Right, infotainment. And that's what we try to do here. We try to have fun because, sometimes the stuff we talk about can be a little wonky, can be a little boring. So we try to provide information and we try to be entertaining and talk about it from the everyday person's perspective.
That's us, everyday peoples. Everyday peoples.
All right, so folks, I don't know if you can hear it, but for my birthday, my son bought me an ice maker. And it sounds hecka loud here in the studio, but no. I have to tell you, having a bourbon a couple of feet that way, and having ice and arm's reach that way, has changed my life.
Well, listen, I've got the ice maker right there next to the sink, which is right there, which is next to the bourbon, which is right there. So yeah, I know all about it.
You've lived that life.
Yes.
Yep. I'm all about that life. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
So anyway, if you hear something that sounds like stuff dropping, that's probably what's going on.
We didn't hear it. It's
excellent.
Okay. I'm telling you, it's good. I told the folks we went through this. He's like, he was afraid people were going to hear it on air. I'm like, nobody's ever heard mine on air. We have good microphones. Don't worry about it. And now he's all paranoid.
Yes, I am. But no longer paranoid, so all is good. Hey, however you are partaking of the show, share it with your friends. Whether you're listening to us on Apple iTunes or on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or you're watching us on Spotify or on OpsLens, or you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, do us a quick favor. 1, make sure you subscribe if you are not already subscribed. And then 2, make sure you share it. Let folks know, hey, this is the place to hang out at, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And
yeah, nobody's worried about the what time it is on the Pacific. I keep telling you that. It's all East Coast time. It's all East Coast time.
My audience is largely Pacific. We're all kind of behind, as I like to say, but the belly of the beast behind enemy lines. So, we kind of have to do things in our time.
But your time is 5 o'clock our time. That's what it comes down to. Here we say 5 o'clock. Out there you say 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. You have to specify when you say time.
We can just say 2 o'clock and you just have to get it.
And then people are 3 hours late.
Moving right along, the advantage of being on this end. Okay. So, by the way, Mike, before we get into it, did you watch any of the January 6th hearing?
No, I watched The Chew this morning. Actually, it's like the Views version of, but they do cooking. I watched that today.
Do you watch the Chew?
Yeah.
Well, Mike, let me just tell you, I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but it pretty much turned out to be exactly what we thought it was. It was a highly produced attack on President Donald Trump. In fact, NPR, which, as many of you know, is no friend to the conservative, and they actually went out of their way to share what they consider to be four revelations, or what they consider to be revelations about about January 6th, the first January 6th committee hearing. Now, let's be clear. All right. So the first thing I wanted to point out was there were some new facts and information, although most of it really wasn't relevant. Like, for example, they showed footage that was really, really bad. I mean, people fighting and attacking and dealing with law enforcement, and hopefully, we're hoping that all of those folks who were beating up on the cops, hoping that they were arrested, they were identified, they were arrested and put in jail. Then there was the whole Attorney General Bill Barr basically telling him, no, there really wasn't evidence of, at least we couldn't find any evidence that we could prosecute of voter fraud. That statement, there was nothing, absolutely positively nothing new about that. That is in fact even in Bill Barr's book. So I don't understand how that's new stuff. Ivanka Trump basically saying, yeah, Dad, it's over. I mean, just a bunch of stuff here that really, isn't really news. They also noted that the video production was effective. Now, here's the reason why this is important, because the point of this whole thing was to create an ultra dramatic feel so that you could link Trump to the people who are engaging in violent attacks or incidences at the Capitol. Now, mind you, I sincerely doubt that people were reading Donald Trump's tweets and saying, taking orders, yes, sir, Commander Trump, I'm going to attack the Capitol now. Thank you, Commander Trump. No, that's not what happened. But the way they tried to link it together is exactly what they tried to do. And that was basically fits in with their observation number 3, which was committee went after Trump, painting him as a rogue, dangerous president. That's pretty much what the Democrats did all 4 years. And now a year and a half into the Biden administration, that's pretty much all they've done. So that, once again, is nothing new. And then, once again, the biggest problem is that the country continues to be people not operating from or believing in shared set of facts. Well, yeah, especially when the facts that you choose to ignore, for example, are when the president said, peaceful protests, go and peaceably make your voice heard, right? When he made it a point to tamp it down. They ignored that. They completely ignored the riots that took place over the summer of 2020 because of George Floyd. They completely ignored those facts. They completely ignored the fact that nobody was killed. Nobody was killed during January 6th except an unarmed Trump supporter who was shot and killed by a Capitol policeman who has yet to face the music, who they've yet to actually investigate. I mean, seriously investigate. No. They forgot all of that. None of that had anything to do with it. They also forgot the fact, Mike, that the president authorized 20,000 troops for January 6th, right? And the Capitol Police wanted it, but the Sergeant at Arms wouldn't let him do it. And the Sergeant at Arms wouldn't let him do it because Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer wouldn't let him do it. Now, those are a set of facts that they refuse to share.
Yeah, absolutely. Craig, the only thing I have to add to it is that the alleged Capitol Police officer that was involved in the shooting that killed the young Trump supporter was cleared. Was cleared already. It was a couple months back.
Well,
but they won't release that information. They won't give you the findings or the results of the investigation. They won't give you the investigation in full to show how they did that.
I would love to know how, because clearly he said he saw that she was unarmed.
Right. He said that to the news after he had been cleared by the agency.
Okay. Right. So then, but that raises the question. Well, if you said to the news you saw that she was unarmed, why'd you shoot her? I mean, what did you say in the investigation that got you off?
Well, again, and listen, and you start to get into the hypocrisy of it, right? Because the rules of engagement may have been that you're talking about ensuring the well-being of a government, and that you can use deadly force to stop physical actions, maybe even
Right.
not deadly actions.
Right.
That might have been the rules of engagement. We don't know that, Craig. They
There you
haven't
go.
given us that. The reason I'll tell you that, and here's where the hypocrisy occurs. In most law enforcement, there's the rules called the fleeing felon rule. A fleeing felon, whether they have a firearm or not, whether if a fleeing felon in most states, you can use deadly force to prevent a fleeing felon from escaping. Uh, Most people don't do it anymore because of the liability that occurs for shooting unarmed people, and then you get to go to jail for that. However, in the capital, evidently, that's not the case. So,
That is an excellent point, sir. That is definitely an excellent point. And if they believe, in particular, if they believe that hurt, harm, or danger can come to an individual or to government, then you are 100% correct. In any case, it would be nice to have heard that, to have seen exactly what that investigation looked like.
right, and here's where a problem is. Like we have all these police shootings going on. That's where you see police have legitimate shootings of people, and then it's determined to be, whether they were it was a taser or it was a cap gun, and those cops are now being prosecuted for making those decisions when they had every belief that it was an actual firearm. Yet on the flip side, you have a person that knowingly shoots an unarmed person, probably under the same rules of engagement, because they believed that further harm was going to occur. Yet they face no charges.
Funny how that works. Funny how that
Yeah,
works.
right.
Anyway,
Right.
the point is, this was the first of the televised hearings. We already know that the committee is full of Trump haters. There's only 2 Republicans on it, and both of them are Trump haters. Both of them voted to impeach Trump. So we already know that this is not an unbiased hearing. And by the way, it wasn't that Republicans didn't want to be on the committee. It's that the ones who wanted to be on the committee weren't allowed to be on the committee. The ones who would normally be a part of the Judiciary Committee that would ask the hard questions, they weren't allowed to be. Representative Jim Jordan, chief among them. So just so you know, yeah, the reason why a lot of Republicans decided not to participate in it is because they knew it was a farce. And the whole thing was about basically trying to make Donald Trump look bad because going into these midterm elections, they have absolutely nothing of their own to run on.
Yep. Absolutely right. So it's dog pile on the rabbit time, right? Everybody jump back on the Trump wagon. That's where
Yep.
we're going. We're gonna make some news.
Exactly. Talking about making news. All right, so once again, being from California, because if there is a harebrained, lame brain, left wing kook idea that exists, chances are you'll find it in California. And this one is one. There is an animal shelter in California where, in order to adopt the pets, you have to support gun control. That's right. In order to adopt pets at this particular adoption center, you have to you have to be anti-gun. It's located in Thousand Oaks, California, which is actually in Southern California. Down there, it is part of Los Angeles. But once again, now mind you, these are in pet shops that, by the way, if they don't adopt the kids, I don't know if this is if this is a kill shelter or not. But in most shelters in California, if you don't adopt them after a period of time, that pet winds up getting put to death. Well, in this case, the Shelter Hope Pet Shop, in order to adopt a pet, once again, they ask you where you stand on gun control. Now, Mike, why does that matter if you're looking to adopt a pet?
Oh, because you have idiots that are trying to make it on TV. It's Los Angeles, Craig. What can I do to make it in front of the camera? Where's my 15 minutes of fame? Adopting a dog, adopting an animal has nothing to do with the Second Amendment whatsoever. You've got just more morons. And I'm sorry, Craig, but it seems as though the center of the moron universe is there in Los Angeles, and then with its mirror city out in Washington, D.C. But everybody wants to get on the TV and be famous for something. And in California, they're going to try their damnedest, and this looks like another method to get a little publicity.
Right. Now, a number of the shelter's donors, they told ABC News, a number of their donors are Republicans. I'm hoping that means that that those donors are going to stop donating to that shelter. If you are a
Yeah.
Republican and you are donating to a shelter that believes in taking away your fundamental right to keep and bear arms, I mean, here's the thing. I don't care if the owner believes in that, but when you're promoting that as a part of your business,
Yeah.
no, done. You don't get my money anymore, and you should
Yeah.
not get
Yeah.
anybody who calls themselves a Republican, even a California Republican, should know
Yeah.
better than to donate to twits like this.
I would like to point out to all those in California that are a little down on their times. Maybe you're not getting your stimulus checks every week or your bonus checks that your governor gives out to you. That here's a business that does not have firearms in it to protect themselves in case you decide you need some pet supplies.
In case you decide you need pet supplies, there you
Yep.
go. Those of you out there who are not law-abiding citizens who may
There
be
you go.
watching
There
the
you
show, we already know. Hey, target-rich environment. I'm not saying, just saying.
Yeah. Just saying.
Just
Just
saying.
I'm just pointing out what they pointed out. That's all.
Exactly. That's what they've
repeated what they said.
You're
you
just
know?
repeating what they said. Now that can get you kicked off at least Twitter, as is evidenced by libs of TikTok.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
All right, we got another pet story here, Mike. Now this is an
I
interesting
love pet stories.
one from down under. Down under. Now, no, I'm not talking about Australia. I'm talking about New Zealand, right? So in New Zealand, right, if you got livestock and your livestock be flatulating, well, you might get fined the right bit. That's right. In New Zealand, they are proposing that you will get taxed if you have livestock who emit gas. Because now you know that one of the leading sources for greenhouse gases is flatulence, right? Burping and Putin, not Putin, Putin or farting. There you go. But it's one of the
You mean
leading causes.
poutine? You mean like French fries with gravy? Poutine?
I mean, like cutting the cheese. Flatulating.
Methane, the actual number one source of methane in this world is from cows.
Yes, it is. Well, in New Zealand, they also look at sheep, right? And now in New Zealand, evidently, according to this story, in New Zealand, sheep outnumber the people by a factor of 5, right? So, meaning there are 5 sheep to every person in New Zealand. And I am sure that running through your mind is probably a joke that you should not be thinking.
So you're saying New Zealand's a target-rich environment? You want to know why you don't see a lot of
1
New
in
Zealand
5
outside
sheep.
New Zealand?
One's got one. You gotta like one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're actually pushing it. Let's see here. It says New Zealand, with about 10 million cattle and 26 million sheep, they're a major exporter. And basically what they're trying to say is their goal is by 2050 to be net zero, right, in terms of methane or in terms of emissions. So what they're trying to do is reduce the population. So if your animal emits gas, then you're going to have to pay.
Hold on now. The largest methane, again, the largest methane source in the world is from agriculture, from cattle, from sheep, and stuff like that.
Right.
So they want to be net zero. Net zero would all gas. You can't. I mean, unless you can't have all vegetarians either. By the way, you can't. It's just not going to work. But how do they plan on getting rid of all the methane, Craig, if they have cows and sheep?
I have absolutely no. I guess they just don't want the cows and sheep. They want everyone to become vegetarians or vegans.
You know, some people are just so dumb. It's not worth worrying about their reproduction.
Yeah.
I mean, let's give them the methane. Let's you know what? Hey, New Zealand folks, the way to get rid of the methane is to go to the cows and light it. It'll extinguish itself. So stand behind the cow at a lit match, and you'll be able to get rid of the methane. And we should hopefully take care of the problem of dumb New Zealanders too, with that solution. So.
You make actually a very valid point there, my friend. I don't know what these folks are thinking. I really don't. But you know what? Mine is not to wonder why. Mine is but to do or die. Is that the saying? I think that is. Anyway. Yeah, these guys, it makes absolutely no sense. But In the end, the thing that I wanted to point out with this story is do not be surprised if they start proposing things like this here in the United States. Just do not be surprised. It is coming, folks. I wish I could tell you that it wasn't, but it is. So there you go. All right, moving right along to the next story. Okay, this was one that really got me because so you have the defensive coordinator there at the Washington Commanders, which used to be the Washington Redskins, which we already know. Okay, so they got rid of the name Redskins, so we already know that they're woke and they're pandering. They spent 2 years or a year and a half as the Washington football team, and now they're the Washington Commanders. Well, they should change their name to the Washington Panders because Jack Del Rio, who is their defensive coach, basically came out and said, wait a minute. I don't see a significant difference between what happened on January 6th and what happened during the summer of 2020. I mean, let's see. Let's compare the two. You had riots. You had people were destroying government property. You had people who were attacking federal buildings. Now, one of the big differences that you had was you had people actually died during the George Floyd riots, right? You have people who actually died during those riots. But he said basically, look, hey, I don't really see what is the difference between the two. And as it turns out, people got mad about it. And as a result, the head coach has now come out and decided that he is going to, basically he's finding the coach, Jack Del Rio, and he's going to fine him $100,000 for his quote-unquote hurtful comments. And I saw Mike over here. He had his hand in the air, so I'm assuming he's got some thoughts about this. Okay, you're talking, and I'm not hearing you. Gotta love this. Gotta love this. And it probably wasn't even you. But Mike will be back with us in just a second. But it makes absolutely no sense. So wait a minute. So in other words, what you're saying, and by the way, he also said that, yeah, he has every right. The coach, Ron Rivera said that he had every right to speak his mind, right? But his comments were hurtful and yada, yada, yada. And speaking your mind has consequences. And so for saying something that had nothing to do with his job, didn't say it on the job, he now is being punished. And we've got Mike back. So what say you, Mike?
So for the record, Craig, my hand in front of the camera means don't go to me.
Oh, well, there you go. Now we know. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so hold on. This guy gets the players get to exercise their rights, First Amendment rights, off the field. We've had this discussion already, right? This is why we don't kneel on the flag. This is why we don't do protests on the field anymore, because we've been told you do that outside. We're not wearing the uniform, but that doesn't apply to the coach if you don't like his opinion. Is that's what I'm hearing?
Yeah, what you're hearing is that I'm guessing if you don't get to, whether on the field or off the field, express your values or your opinion if the coach doesn't like it.
Well, then I hope he goes to the game whenever it is and quits in the middle of the game and just walks out. And they could deal with that. And if you want to mix what I do in my personal business, then I'll mix my personal business in your business.
Oh yeah,
you either
quit right in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I wouldn't even bother to tell him I quit. I would just stop calling plays.
Yeah.
But you don't really appreciate my freedom of speech, so
yep.
I'm just gonna show up to work, and then when I decide I'm not gonna work.
I'd go to the game. I'd go to the game, Craig. I think I'd play legit, right? And walk onto the field right in the middle of the game. Take off my headset, take off my shirt, be wearing an American flag, and just walk the hell out. Bye.
Bye.
Literally drop the headset microphone on the field and walk out.
There you go. There you go. It is a reasonable question. How can you compare the two?
Well, yeah, listen, I think you can compare the two, right?
Right.
You and I both know we compare the two, and we compare them all the time. The comparison we really have to make is we've set the standard with players, right? We set the standard and said, not during the game. You want to do this on your own time? That's okay. And then he does that and follows that rule and gets screwed. I'm sorry, I don't understand it.
I would be like, no, you give me my money.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to need that for bail money because I'm going to beat you down till I get my money.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
there would definitely be some court over this, or definitely dealing with the union. I'm sure that the coaches have a union that they could deal with this over.
Exactly. But folks, look, hey, you don't give up your right. I mean, here's the thing. When you leave work, you have a right to your freedom of speech. And I get that in some cases in sports and entertainment, it's a little different in that you're kind of always on the clock. But you don't get to pick and choose who gets the right to free speech. Either we all get it or none of us get it. Right? You don't get to pick or choose.
Yeah. He's not the star player. He's the defensive coordinator. Now he is a former head coach. I get that. So he's got a little more publicity than your regular defensive coordinator, but sorry, listen, he gets to say what he wants to say. And again, these are the rules we established already. If they apply to everybody else in the league, then they must apply to him as well.
Exactly. Except they don't.
Yeah.
That would be how it be.
I hope he files suit against the Redskins there and just breaks it off in there.
Well, the thing is, he may or may not, but he needs to. He needs to because the message needs to be sent, and the message is once again. No, you don't get selective speech. Selective speech is not free speech. Letting people you agree with speak and shutting down people you don't agree with, that's not freedom of speech, folks. That's not what that is. In the face. Yeah.
That's right. That's how tyranny happens. That's how you get punched in the face. That's what happens.
Punched in the face.
Yep.
Just saying. All right, moving on to our parting shot. Now, you know that we here at The Rundown are big supporters of universal background checks, right?
Love them.
Love them. Absolutely love them. Because they are so effective in preventing crime, especially when 96% of crime guns are stolen. Now, Mike, there's a funny thing here. If a crime gun is stolen, what does that mean about the effectiveness or whether or not it's going to come up on a background check that the person who actually, what does that tell you?
Oh, so if a criminal steals a gun,
yes,
what's the background check going to say?
What is it going to tell us that will help us solve the crime?
Well, let's see. I mean, do we expect the criminal to walk in and say, "Hello, I've just stolen this gun. I'd like to do a background check"?
Actually, yes. Yes, it does. Okay, for those of you who are just listening, it's basically a guy in a mask, basically on the phone. He says, "Yeah, hello, yes. I just stole a gun. I just stole a firearm. Now I need to complete my universal background check." Now, Mike, I'm looking at this photo and I'm having to wonder. They had to decide, okay, what are we going to go with here? Are we going to go with the gangster, the gangster brother who, has like the gold chains and the hat and all that fun stuff, which by the way is a large percentage of violence with firearms. Instead, they opted to go with Middle Eastern looking gentleman with what's the thing around the neck, the scarf.
Oh, his not his dashiki, his oh, excuse me. You choke so many people out with them when you forget what they're called.
Anyway, I forgot what it's called, but definitely they went with the Middle Eastern terrorist feel in this particular meme.
Oh boy, I can't remember what they're called. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. But anyway, Craig, you know what else I found interesting about this this photograph is that they found a phone with a corded phone for him to call on, a phone with an actual wire coming out of it. Yeah, I don't know where that.
Okay, it's called a shema. Shema.
Shemagh. Thank you.
Yes.
Shemagh. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Very good. Very good. Very good. Yeah. Shemagh. And yeah, I don't know where he found a corded phone. So that's. Maybe. Listen, all I can tell you though,
do those things still exist?
Corded phones?
Yes.
Not here. Not in this room. I mean, it's corded when it's plugged into the charger. That's about it.
That's about as close as it gets.
Yep.
Okay.
Listen, the only time these universal background checks are going to work for stuff like this is for the Democrats. I guess a Democrat wants a universal background check. Now, if they go steal a firearm, maybe it'll work for them. Maybe they'll find something out there in the universe that will disqualify them. I don't know. Because it doesn't work. All right, folks. Criminals don't do background checks. Criminals don't look at gun-free school zone signs. Criminals don't care about your concealed carry laws. They're just going to do it. All right.
But by the way,
I don't understand.
By the way,
people don't get that.
By the way, Kevin Sona just noted on Facebook about you wearing one of those shema as a skirt.
A man has to do what a man has to do. A man has to do what a man has to do. I don't know if you've ever been to Detroit before. Sometimes it's appropriate. Sometimes it's appropriate. And it's Detroit, by the way, as how you
Detroit.
say it. Yeah. Detroit.
Oh, fun times. By the way, folks, if you ever get a chance to get out to Detroit for one of Rick Ector's firearms trainings where he trains thousands of women in one day. Well, he doesn't do it, but he brings in people from all over the country to help train women on how to shoot a firearm. It's a fun event. You get a chance to hang out with trainers from all over the place. And get to see the joy of people their first time shooting. It's phenomenal. Obviously, when it's coming up again, I'm sure it's coming up again this summer. We'll let you know and encourage you guys to come on out. You don't have to be a firearms instructor to volunteer. You do have to be a firearms instructor to actually instruct. But trust me, they need volunteers for all sorts of stuff. So it's all fun.
The world needs ditch diggers too. Don't worry about it.
The world needs ditch diggers too. All right, hey. Yep. A quick shout out to the sponsors, Mikey.
Oh, you mean to do it? Okay, here we go. Hey, let's say hello to our good friends out there at Guerrilla Machining, Grid Defense, the California Republic Assembly, and of course our friends at uscombatgear.com.
I like the adding that uscombatgear.com at the end. I like that.
You know, we're so old that most people under 30 probably have no idea what we're talking about when we do that.
No, they probably have absolutely no idea. But there's this thing they used to have called a jingle. And they could be really, really bad songs, but they stuck in your head. Yep.
Yeah, that one was Yahoo, if I recall correctly, right?
Yes.
Yahoo.com.
Yep. There you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're showing our age. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Do us a favor, like, share, subscribe. Encourage your friends to do the same. With that, we hope that you have a fun weekend. We hope that you have a safe weekend. And we will see you again on Monday. Fun day. Gun day.
Yep. Don't forget to get your universal background check. Check out your anus.